regard to whether it's 5G, deploying it, or whether it's vaccines being mandated in the face of a lot of obvious risk once you look into the science, like how is it that that these agendas continue against informed consent, and really what are the implications of if we don't draw a line now, to protect ourselves and our children, from these invasive technologies, what are the implications going forward? Who really owns our bodies? Who really owns the bodies of our children if we kind of allow this trend to continue?
Those are all those questions are tied up in the, in the essential question, which is, can we maintain the integrity of our democracy? Or is our democracy, because of all the money in politics now, is it, are all of our rights going to be subverted and made secondary to corporate profit taking? And that's what we're seeing today. You're seeing a domination of the political process by this kind of corporate kleptocracy. And all of human behavior is now subject to regulation in a way where the primary priority seems to be the profits of these corporations, and that all of us are subject to being commoditized. The landscapes are being commoditized. Our children are being commoditized, and it's a shocking evolution of American democracy from its highest ideals, which are human dignity, independence, human freedom, the right to choose. And let's listen to what human beings say. And we're dealing with a Congress now that is actively urging big tech companies to censor questions or critical information about pharmaceutical products. And there's 1,500 pharmaceutical lobbyists on Capitol Hill, and the other industries are going to do the same thing. They're going to censor bad information. There was a law passed in Texas last month that makes it illegal, makes it a felony to participate in a demonstration against pipeline projects. We're reaching that point in our democracy where arguing with a corporation or criticizing a corporation is going to become a criminal act. And we already are there with the vaccines. The vaccines are a profit-making drug, a $50 billion industry that are being mandated, forcibly imposed with coercion on American citizens against their will. And and we have our political leaders who are telling these big tech companies, where everybody agrees they're far too powerful, that they should censor any criticism. They should censor photographs of children who've been, injured by vaccines. They should abolish vaccine injuries by fiat by simply declaring it doesn't exist and allowing nobody to talk about it. And it's a very, very dangerous place that we're going into. It's Kafkaesque. But it paves the way for 5G, because that's what they're going to need. Because this is something that is bad for human beings, clearly. It's going to benefit, the military-industrial complex. It is not going to benefit the average American. And yet they're going to try to force it on us because so many people are going to be making profits from it.
About censorship, I want to ask your perspective on what we're seeing, this censorship, particularly around, vaccine choice, vaccine safety and rights. So are they doing this, taking books, off Amazon and films off Amazon and now social media, and you can't even have your say about simple facts? Are they doing this because they're afraid of something in terms of, I say they, I mean, the corporate complex, the pharmaceutical industry, or are they just doing it because they can?
Well, the pharmaceutical industry does not want to have a debate. I mean, I've been doing this for many years. The last time I was allowed to publish an editorial, and I'm just talking about the mainstream papers like the New York Times, the LA Times, or the Chicago Sun-Times, or the San Francisco Chronicle, or the Boston Globe. None of those have ever let me write an editorial, ever. But for a while, Huffington Post was, and some of the other liberal blogs. But the last time I was allowed to write a editorial in the Huffington Post was in 2009. So that's a decade ago. Oh, even these what's so-called liberal blogs, which are supposed to be the antidote to the corporate control of American society and democracy, have somehow been persuaded that they need to be part of this juggernaut of censorship. And now you have the social media, Facebook and Google, and they have their own partnerships with the vaccine industry. Google is now a vaccine company. It has a partnership with GSK, with GlaxoSmithKline. I think a $600 million partnership where not only are they making vaccines together, but they are also, GSK has a contract to mine data for Google and to look at your health information and, your heart rate when you're holding your cell phone, and what, Alexas or Siri, find out about you as you're living in your home, and to mine that data and to develop drugs and vaccines, et cetera, and then directly market them to you. So it's a frightening world we live in, and these kind of pharmaceutical companies control hospitals, they control the medical schools, they control the journals, and now they control the social media. And of course they control the TV. Anybody who looks at an evening news show, I think now, I read the other day that the average evening news has 22 ads on it, and 17 of those are pharmaceutical companies. So out of those advertising purchase dollars, $9 billion a year that they're putting into American media is purchasing content as well, and that's a bad thing for democracy, because democracy depends on an informed public.
Yeah. You mentioned big data. You're talking about all these connections behind the scenes. How do you think children would be impacted, Bobby, by what 5G would bring in terms of constant surveillance and data harvesting?
Well, I have 7 kids, and I'm very frightened to think about the world that they're growing up in, because I think everything that they do they're never going to be out of sight of some kind of surveillance system. It's scary. It's scary. It's scary to think about how you can maintain a democracy under those conditions.
I have so much respect for you, because you have taken the bull by the horn, so to speak, and you're fighting for what's right. And everybody, watching this gets that. We're so grateful for you. What do we need to do to turn this thing around?
Well, I mean, on a large level, I think we need to get money out of politics. We need to reverse the Citizens United case and return to where we were before, and restore the integrity of our democracy. On the smaller scale, everybody needs to become an activist. Everybody needs to become involved. You can't afford to sit at home anymore and pretend this isn't happening, because it's real now, and the bad guys are winning, and we need to take back our democracy. And I mean, of course, what I would suggest to people is that they should join Children's Health Defense, follow me on Instagram, and get involved. Thank you.
Thank you, and I second that. Everybody watching this, there's a link on this page. Go click that, go to Children's Health Defense website, sign up for an email, get involved. Mr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., thank you so much for everything you're doing in the world and for the time that you've given us in coming on the summit today. On behalf of everyone watching, we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Aaron. It's been really a pleasure.